So we are the Agent Growth Hub, and we are here every week, 1 o'clock Eastern Time, 10 o'clock Pacific Time, and all the other time zones in between. And the goal is really to grow us as agents. And we have the privilege today of having a good friend of mine, Matt Miale, on, who's going to talk about agent production and growing agent production. And I can't think of somebody better to do this. I know Matt's been doing this for like 24 years, so he is older than me, just so
Yeah, a
you guys
little
know.
bit, not much though.
A,
Yeah.
a little bit. But he's somebody who he has a team that has agents that's been on it for many, many years and have been very productive. So one of the things we don't always see in our industry is teams with agents that are super productive and they're succeeding. And that's something I think Matt has done really, really well. And that's why I asked him to come on and share what it is that he is doing to ensure that agents are productive. So if you are either running a team, I think this is a great thing. But I talked to some of my team members today and said, hey, if he's talking about increasing agent production, I think you should probably listen to it too, any of my team members. So go ahead and you can take over the show here, Matt.
Really awesome, Jim. Thanks for having me. Thanks for all you guys who showed up. Especially want to thank Sam, Ed, and Jim who have their cameras on, and the rest of you. Welcome to the culture of production, where we just assume on our team that if your camera's off, you're probably in the potty, because that would be the only reason that you would show up to a meeting and have your camera off, because you've got it. You probably are indisposed. So we'll just start off with that. We'll just rip the Band-Aid off and let you guys know what you're in for. The two things I'm most proud of about my team, most proud of, and we've been a real estate team really since 2010. The first one is our agent retention, because I know we all know, those of us that are on teams or run teams, we all know what it feels like sometimes where there's this revolving door. I have agents that have been on my team for 13 years, 10 years, 9 years, 8 years. When people join our team, they join our team and they tend to stick around. That is, I've learned, pretty unique in the industry. I didn't really know that was extremely unique. It's something that I'm extremely proud of as I get to know what we do and how we do it. That's the first one. The second one, which I think is part of why we are doing so well at the first one, is that our per agent production is typically about 6 times the national average. So the agents on our team are selling between 35 and 50 homes on average each. And that far, far exceeds the typical. Now, a lot of people hear that and they presume, well, that must be a byproduct of some unique, crazy, formula of lead generation that we've invented. And it couldn't be farther from the truth. We have the biggest, most boring business out there, which is probably why more people don't do it, because it's not actually super glitzy and flashy, but it does work if you want to run a highly productive, highly profitable real estate team and have dominant market share in your market. So when Jim asked me to come and speak to you guys about what we do, it was super clear to me that the very first thing that we needed to do is talk about a culture of production. And so I'm going to share with you guys a presentation that I've done in the past for other groups of team leads. And what you're going to see here is a little bit about the framework of how we've built this organization around a culture of production. Now, the first and most important thing for you guys to understand is that I'm going to give you some tactical stuff, but a lot of this is really about a way of being. This is about an operational principle. Like, this is who you are as an organization. This is going to define that for you. So for us, it starts with the concept that the culture of our team is production. Now, when you define culture on your team, for me, simple is better. And when it became clear to me that the only thing that matters in order to have a highly productive, highly successful real estate team is production, then why would I call our culture anything other than that? This is part of our cultural edict. This is one of the things that we talk about. This is something that is embedded in the who and what we are. The culture of our team is production. Now, what does that mean? Because I could say that and I could tell you guys, maybe we sell 20 houses a year. This year, we're going to bump up against 600. Our best year we did 587. We're going to probably get back to that number this year. The crazy thing is we had, like a lot of us, we took a step backward last year. We had a rough year. We lost about 30% of our production, and we completely rebooted, and we are back in spite of all the headwinds that are out there in the marketplace. We are 100% crushing our production goals this year. And all of that is due to the fact that we run our business around this concept. So now the first thing that needs to happen if you want to have a culture of production is you have to realize that a culture requires a mission-based message. So for our team, our mission is empowerment. Our mission statement is we empower people, the people we serve and those we serve with. Now, why that matters is that, remember, when you're a leader and you're asking people to join you on some adventure or some quest, right? In our case, our grand quest is to go out and sell real estate and serve our communities. You've got to have something more than because you'll make money. Because no humans because at some point making money becomes not as important. At some point, people have made as much money as they need to make. And when you stand up in front of your team every day, by the way, the other thing that will happen is your organization will devolve into a constant negotiation for who gets how much and how much split and who gets more. The conversation should never be about that. You have to have some reason that you get up every day to go and slay the dragon. And for us, it's empowerment. So that shows up in a lot of different ways for us. But I believe that the core of how we become a culture of production is that every time we're faced with some challenge or something that comes in our way or some headwind, like let's just say, for instance, that the National Association of Realtors changed the way that compensation models worked. When we're faced with that, we say, well, that doesn't matter because our mission is empowerment. Our mission isn't go get commission fees, right? We're going to function in spite of that. So we start as a mission-based business. This is our mission. This is our mission statement. All of our team knows this. We talk about it. Now, inside of the mission, there's this thing, which is like, well, that's cool, Matt, but why is a mission important? Well, the reason that your mission is important has to be spoken out as part of your vision. So each of you has a vision for what your company wants to be. And when I started the real estate team, like most of us, it was because I wanted to make more money. Like I wanted my life to get better. I was like working my butt off and I wasn't quite making as much as I wanted to. And I didn't really have clarity of vision. This is a process that many leaders go through. I really didn't know what that meant. And many times I would sit down and people would say, you got to write your mission, vision, values. And I'm like, whatever, that's a bunch of rhetoric, a bunch of words. None of that means anything. But when I got clear that a really powerful organization had to be mission-based, then what I understood is that the mission has to have a why behind it. You could wake up every day and say, we empower people. We want to save the manatees. We want to save the puppies. We want to, change the environment. We want to stop global warming. You can say all that stuff, but none of it means anything if you can't attach a reason. So like, why? Why do you want to stop global warming? Because you want it doesn't really affect you today, right? Like what's the big deal? Like, why do you want to save the manatees? Like, who cares? Like, why? Why is that important? Well, for us, it's our vision to be immovable. Now, part of my immovable vision started with this concept that our industry is perpetually and probably for the rest of my life going to be in the crosshairs of being disrupted. And we know that's going to happen from technology, that's going to happen from lawsuits, that's going to happen from new models, that's going to happen for a lot of different reasons. And that creates a lot of uncertainty for our people, especially the people who sign up to be on our teams, right? Like, how many days do you wake up as a team lead and someone on your team is worried about what the future looks like? It happened to me today. Every single day, someone wakes up worried about how their future looks. My only way of solving that was to say, we got to be so big that no matter what happens, we can't be swept away. They have to deal with us. And I equate that to like a pile of sand on a beach. If you build a gigantic pile of sand on the beach and the waves get rough and roll in, what happens to the pile of sand? It gets smaller. If you build a small pile of sand on the beach and the waves come in, what happens? It's like it never even existed. So our only mission to empower people had to be driven by a vision to get so big, to be so immovable inside of our ecosystem in real estate, that no matter what disruptive force showed up, no matter what commission compression showed up, no matter what legislation came, no matter what the Department of Justice said, we would have time to adapt. We'd be big enough that we could change, we could pivot, we could make whatever course corrections we needed to make. Doesn't mean we won't take some bullets along the way, but we could change what we needed to change so that we were immovable. So our vision to be immovable is tied directly to our mission of empowerment. If we're immovable, we can continue to serve and continue to be empowering the people we serve and the people we serve with. What we do, how we do that is we have clarity about what it takes to run our business. And I talk about it all the time. So the 4 pillars of the Miale team here in Connecticut are production, profit, growth, and culture. And the culture of our team is production. See where that goes? So we have production is the very first thing that needs to happen in order for there to be profit. Now, if we don't have profit, what does growth look like on our team? Not so great. If you don't have profit, what can you invest in? What new tools can you bring to the table? What new initiatives can you engage in? What new people can you bring to train your team on new changes? You can't do any of it. And when your company feels like there's no new initiatives and no new growth and no new people and no new energy, how's that feel inside of your culture? It feels pretty crappy. So we start very clearly and talk about the culture of our team is production. Why? Because in order for us to be a successful business, we need to have profit. Profit is opportunity. Profit's the oxygen for the business. This is what drives our ability to continue to grow. Because if we don't grow, we can't be immovable, right? It's not possible. You can't be immovable if you say we're just going to stay real small and stink into a small little, we're going to just let the world dictate how big we get. And if we can't grow, then we obviously don't have a culture where people who are high performers are going to want to be a part of it. So I'll go back to the very first thing I said, the 2 things that I'm most proud of. I'm really proud of how long people stay in business with me. And I am super grateful for it. And I'm really proud of the agent production on our team because it is the actual result of running a business where the culture of the team is production, because it's the only thing we focus on. We don't talk about anything else. We just talk about production. So how do we go about doing that? Well, one of the things that always drove me a little bit crazy was this idea of measuring everything. And so we only measure on our team what matters. Now, this is going to fly in the face of how some of you guys run your teams, okay? So in real estate, there's a whole lot of data. And a lot of you guys like to track things that don't necessarily lead to production. You just want to track them because you can. I'll give you the most obvious example, and some of you will shudder when I say it, and some of you might want to fight me. But some of you are tracking things like contacts. Some of you are tracking things like dials. Some of you are tracking things like that because you think that that matters. But really, would you kick someone off your team if they made 1 contact a day but sold 2 houses a month? No, you wouldn't. So does it really matter? It doesn't really matter. It's just something you can track. Now, this picture of an airplane on here is where I got this concept from. During World War II, many of you guys may be familiar with the B-17 bombing runs that came out of England and were on a constant. It was basically the only defense we had prior to the invasion of the European continent was these bombing runs. And historically, if you watch any of the movies that are out there, Memphis Belle, there's a bunch of them. You can get yourself an education, but basically about 60% of the planes that went out didn't come back. In the beginning, it was absolutely a suicide mission. The planes were getting decimated. And because, of course, people like to figure out why, they brought together a brain trust of engineers and scientists, and they said, we've got to figure out how to save some of these planes. We just can't keep up. The Luftwaffe is just knocking them out of the sky left and right. We're not going to ever be able to win this war until we can get air superiority. We have to figure out how to keep these planes in the air. And so what they started to do is study the planes that came back. And each time a plane came back, they literally documented every bullet hole in every plane. And they figured out where the bullet holes were, and they jumped to the conclusion, well, all these bullet holes are showing up in the exact same places. So if we reinforce the places where the bullet holes are, then certainly we should be able to get more planes back. Until one brilliant scientist said, guys, wait, stop. It's not where the bullet holes are, it's where they aren't. Because the planes that aren't coming back are the ones that crashed. So all of these clusters of bullet holes are the ones that made it. We need to reinforce the planes where they're not bullet holes, because that means they got hit there and they went down. So in our business, how many of us want to build a culture of production, and then we drive our agents toward measuring things that don't matter? We drive them toward a bunch of activity that doesn't produce results for them, and therefore they lose confidence in the ability for the organization to move them toward their goal. So in our company, we measure 3 things: signed, sold, and set. Period. That's it. We measure, did you sign something, sell something, or set an appointment? That is how we know whether someone is on track or off track. Now, it's really simple. Think of it this way. If you went to your team tomorrow and said, all the data we track, every single thing you do, we're going to dumb it down. We're going to simplify it. We're going to make your job so easy. How many of your agents would sign up for their jobs being easier? All of them. 100% of them want their job to be easier. In fact, that's what they hired you for. They hired you as a team lead to help them make their job easier. What we do instead is we add complexity where there should be simplicity. So sign something, sell something, or set an appointment. I say it every day. Every single day, my team hears me say that. Today, your job, sign something, sell something, or set an appointment. Now, you can say it. It doesn't mean everybody will do it, right? So you have to have some standards of operating, right? How many of you guys have heard the word standards in real estate before? Everyone. You hear it all the time. Oh, you got to have standards. You got to have standards. I actually hate that word. Hate it. Despise the word standard. It always reminded me of like an RA in the college dorm, like, like quiet hours. Like it's a very punitive word. And when I started my business, started growing the business, started recognizing that there was going to have to be some part of me as a leader that was going to have to show up and build some ecosystem that people were going to have to adhere to, I just kind of didn't like the idea that it felt like a whip. I don't want to be the standards guy. But we are all adults, and we do have to operate by some metric of we all have to do something the same way. Otherwise, we're not an organization. We're not a team. So I kind of like the word agreement better. I just felt like, hey, if you come here, I'm going to agree to do certain things, and you're going to agree to do certain things. And it's just a promise. We just agree to do this. So we don't have to call it a standard. There doesn't have to be a penalty around it. It's just like, this is our operating agreement. I say I'll do this, you do that. So on our team, our production standards are what we call the 4 agreements. And the 4 agreements are so stinking simple. We show up to everything. Agreement number 1, if you're on our team, the expectation is you show up. Now, again, I'm going to pick on y'all with your cameras off, because if your camera's off, you didn't show up. That's how it is on our team. If your camera's not on, I'm just assuming that you're listening, but I'm not in the business of being in the podcast business. I'm not an entertainer. If I show up to a meeting, I want my people to show up to a meeting, and we must show up to everything. Now, unless there's like any other job, a reason that you can't. But somehow our industry became optional. I don't know when that happened or how, but somehow real estate agents started treating showing up like it was optional. Depends on how they feel that day. Oh, I didn't sleep well. What other job treats it like that? Zero. No other job. Just imagine any retail job that you ever got. You show up, you get a job at Walmart, and they say, hey, Ed, congratulations. We've hired you. You're going to be the greeter. And on day 1, you call in and you're just like, hey, listen, today's not a good day. Just not going to come. On day 2, you're fired. Like, it's really, there is no alternative to showing up. So we just agree that when you're on the team, you show up. That's the easiest one. By the way, it requires nothing other than actually saying you're going to be part of the team. So agreement number one, everybody shows up to everything. Agreement number two, we are accountable to results. And we do that by reporting 5 of 7 days. Now, what are we reporting? I just said it. Sign something, sell something, set an appointment. I expect every agent on our team to report whether they signed something, sold something, or set an appointment 5 out of 7 days. And even if all 3 are zeros, they still have to put the zeros in. Why? Because again, you get pushback on that. Why do I have to report a 0? Because you need the experience of stepping on the scale after vacation when you've had 37 mudslides, 18 pieces of chocolate cake. You need the experience of stepping on the scale, looking at what it says and saying, oh, that's where I am. It's about personal accountability, and we are a team that's accountable to results. We measure what matters, and what matters is, did you sign something, sell something, or set an appointment? And therefore, by reporting 5 of 7 days, we create a culture where people value production. They have to, because we look at it and we pay attention to it. And it's 5 of 7 days. It's not Monday through Friday. It's not Sunday through Friday. It's 5 of 7. I don't care what 5 of 7. I just want you to wake up 5 days out of 7 and look in the mirror and ask yourself, did I do my job today? That's all. That's personal accountability. Did I do my job today? If you had to do that 5 out of 7 days, how long are you likely to not produce if you are an accountable person? Not very long. If you had to put zeros in day after day after day, how long are you going to comfortably put zeros in? I like to think of it like this. Let's just say that tomorrow morning you set an alarm to get out of bed, right? 5 a.m. And it's your absolute intention that you're going to go to the gym. That's your plan. You get up 5 a.m., the alarm goes off. You pop out of bed. Your sneakers are there, your shorts are there, your t-shirt's there. You throw it all on. You get ready. You go outside, and let's just pretend it's February. It's freezing out. You go outside, freezing in Connecticut anyway. It's freezing out. You go outside, you get in your car, you drive to the gym, you walk in the door, and instead of doing anything, you just stand in the lobby and watch everybody work out. How many days in a row before you actually put your butt on a treadmill, a bike, or start moving some weights around? How many days could you stand there and watch everyone else produce? Not many. Now, you might also quit, which is also okay. Remember, people that won't produce aren't driving the mission. They're not contributing to the vision, and therefore they aren't in cultural alignment with your team. So culture of production requires accountable people to be accountable to results. And we just created an agreement that says we're accountable to results by reporting 5 of 7 days. Our third agreement is we engage the world. Now, engage the world means if you are going to be in real estate as a real estate salesperson, it is your job to go out and engage the world. You have to meet people. I don't care if you call them. I don't care if you shake their hand. I don't care if you door knock. I don't care if you do it at an open house. I don't care if you do it from networking. But every single week, you're going to get 5 new friends. You're going to find 5 people in a week that agree to hear from you from time to time about things that are related to real estate or events that you might be doing. But you're going to find 5 people and you're going to put them in your database every week. That's all. That's all you've got to do, 5 a week. Why 5 a week? Because magically, if you were to put 5 people in your database every week, and you did it, even if you did it 50 weeks instead of 52, you'd have 250 people in your database that you could market to. And miraculously, do you know that if you had 250 people in your database and you just use the standard 12-to-2 ratio, that out of every 12 people in there, there are 2 opportunities, one that needs something and one that knows someone who needs something. Do you know that miraculously that turns out to be 40 transactions a year? That all you need is 250 people in your database that you communicate to effectively with consistency, a message of value, and you're going to have 40 opportunities teed up. It's just simple, but it doesn't work if you don't engage the world. So we agree that if you're going to be on our team and get all the value that we deliver, that you're going to go out and do that part. You're going to go engage the world and get 5 new people every single week into the database with full contact records that we can communicate to. And lastly, the most important one, you do the 2. If you're a salesperson, which by the way, everyone who's on a real estate team is, You must at some point in time sit with somebody and deliver a value proposition. There's just no alternative. How else will they know whether they want to hire you? So for us, we call that do the two consultations a week, not 2 meetings, not 2 showings, not 2 thrown in the air opportunity, 2 consultations a week. What's a consultation? It's an opportunity to deliver your value proposition whereby the person you meet with is given the opportunity to say yes, no, or not right now. At the end of that conversation, somebody's making a decision about yes, you're hired, no, you're not, or not right now. And if you did that twice a week, you do it 96 times a year if you worked 48 times. And if you did it 96 times a year and only 70% of those people decided to hire you, you'd have 72 people that would be under an agreement, a buyer agreement or a listing agreement. And of those 72 people, if 70% of them went under contract, you'd have 54 people that would be under contract. And if only 90% of those 54 under contract close, you'd close 44 transactions in a year. Isn't it interesting that when you look at the average production of my team and we follow these 4 simple agreements, that on average, the agents on our team are closing 35 to 50 transactions a year? Isn't that interesting? Did you guys hear me say anything about some special magic CRM sauce that I did? Did you hear any special lead system that I'm buying? Some extra money that I'm throwing out on the side? Nope. Culture of production isn't about buying stuff, guys. Culture of production is about a way of being. It's about who you are as a leader, and who you bring to your organization as people. And then it's about the agreement that you make with them before you get them in. We believe results matter, so we do what matters and we keep score. That's just the culture that we have. We keep score. It's not comfortable every day. Lots of people on our team are really uncomfortable, but we show the scoreboard because we want a winning locker room. We want people who want to win. People that are uncomfortable with that don't hang around. They opt out. They don't even get in the room. They go, you guys are nuts. You guys are insane. You guys think selling houses is all that matters. Not all that matters, but the culture of our team is production. Here's what we offer as a team: the value proposition around our organization, right? Because it's one thing to just say it. It's another thing to live by it. This is the stuff that when somebody shows up on in our organization that they plug into. We have a daily call every single day at 8:30. By the way, if you're on our team, you agreed you're going to show up to everything. That means every single day at 8:30, cameras on. We do it on Zoom. We don't do it in person. Cameras on, you're there, you're in person, you're participating. We have daily accountability tracking, reporting 5 of 7 days, and those reports get put out every day. Daily team engagement and support, weekly team meetings, weekly one-on-one and pipeline review, weekly open house opportunities, etc. You see all this stuff. This is what an agent on our team plugs into. This is what a culture of productivity looks like. We believe that our job is to deliver the perfect customer experience. At the end of the day, the only thing that matters is, does the client feel like they worked with a winning team? Did they plug into something that felt like they were getting the value? The agent signs up and sticks around because they're selling a lot of homes and they're in an environment where winning is part of the formula, but the customer is the one that really gets to say it. So our values is that our customer always comes first. Sounds super cliche, but we deliver we call it the Disney experience, the perfect customer experience. Now, if one of you guys hires me tomorrow, you might not think it's perfect. Chances are we are still a work in progress. That's just how it is. But when we say we seek it, we live and die by the effort to deliver the perfect customer experience. And every one of our team on our team knows that that's how we operate. Our cultural standards, number one, the truth matters. So we tell the truth. That's a thing that we talk about. Now, everybody tells the truth. I tell the truth. And guess what that means? For those of you guys who are team leaders, how uncomfortable is it when sometimes people come and tell you the truth? Hey, dude, your team kind of sucks right now. This shit's not working. This stuff's not working. So-and-so's not holding up their end of the bargain. It kind of hurts sometimes. I think it hurts me more than anybody else. But we tell the truth. And I say that to the people on the team all the time. When you're a team lead, somebody comes to you and says, hey, I'm not really sure how to say this. What I always say is just tell the truth. Just tell me what I need to know. Don't dance around it, because I can't fix what I don't know is broken, but I assume that what's coming next is something's broken. Something's not working. So just tell me the truth. We believe the truth matters. We believe in a culture of accountability. You can't win if you're not accountable to results. We believe that people that are in our team need to be committed to winning. They can't be half in. There are no part-time agents on my team. Everybody on my team is a full-time realtor. We don't accept part-time agents. So now every once in a while, does somebody raise their hand that seems super talented, but they have a job and they don't want to get started until after the job. Unfortunately, they're not a candidate for our team, because the only people that we can support can show up and adhere to our agreements. The hard part of that when you're building a team is you're saying, yeah, but that person could be great. They could be, but on our team, they have to do those things. Those are the only things we ask. They're super simple. They can't do those things because they have a job or they have somewhere else to be. It's just not a good fit. They can go be successful somewhere else. And I expect that some of them will be, but I don't believe that they're a fit for the culture that we have on our team. We have a leadership principle, and we live and die by the word meritocracy. Now, meritocracy, like democracy, like any other ocracy, is just a way of operating. And merit, of course, means that in our organization, the rewards go to those who perform. Now, that came from my years in corporate sales, where it always felt like there was some level of politics being played. And God, I hated that. It always felt unfair that some people got some reward that they didn't feel like it was always like somebody was working harder or outperforming, and then somebody else was getting some promotion or something. That all felt like a bunch of BS to me. And so I built the company around this concept that, hey, we're in a performance-based business. We're a production-based, performance-based business. It's real easy to measure who's winning and who's not. And so the people who win the most get the most. That's, by the way, is that any different than the industry as a whole? No, absolutely not. So when the best leads come in and the best opportunities, they go to top performers. They don't go to people who need a break. They don't go to people who are having a hard time. It's not that I'm cold, callous, and heartless. It's that I believe in a culture of production for our business. And I want to work and win with people who believe that. And so I want people that show up to accept the rules of engagement. The rules of engagement are, if you want to win, win. There's no other way. Don't make excuses. There's nothing else. If you want to win, play the game and win. And then the winners get the spoils. And we obviously do everything with integrity all the time. The unwritten rule, because I won't put it in a slide deck, is no assholes allowed. That is a very, the other thing is, you might imagine that this kind of a hardcore group of killer agents are, some sort of Semper Fi ridiculous. It's not. They're really all a bunch of sweethearts, because they're in the service business, right? We just really don't have room for people who are ego driven and assholes. So we just don't invite them in. They don't last very long. It's hard for people with a big ego to be in an environment where their results are being put in front of them all the time, because even the best don't have a good day every day. And so people with big egos don't last around us. We are good people who want to succeed. That is the barrier. By the way, that's again another sort of cultural alignment where what we know is that any disagreement can be resolved as long as everybody understands that who they're talking to is a good person who wants to win. When you know that immediately, you could be mad at somebody, you could think that they dropped the ball, you could think that they screwed something up, but as soon as you know, hey, it's a good person and they're just doing what they do because they think it's how they win, it really levels the conversation and the playing field. Our leadership standards, the book that embodied this just perfectly for me was the book, The Captain's Class. If you haven't read it, I strongly encourage you to do it. I'll summarize it from this perspective. We lead from the field. Our team operates in the game. I still sell houses. I'll sell 25 houses this year. I still engage in production. Not the same as everybody on my team. For sure, most of the business that I'm doing is inbound, and I give them a lot of the business that comes to me to the team, but I still sell houses. Our COO still sells houses. Our director of growth still sells houses. There are no maintenance positions on our team. Everybody's responsible for scoring points, for putting points on the board at various different points in the game. But nobody gets to retire in our organization. Why? Because the culture of our team is production. If you're not contributing to production, what are you doing? Because how do we win? We win by selling houses. That's how we win. That's how everybody wins. Everybody wins when we sell more homes. Every single person. We can do more because we follow production, profit, growth, and culture as our core model. Because when everybody wins, we make more money. When we make more money, we invest in growth. When we invest in growth, the culture feels good. More opportunities show up. So we live by the standards that come out of this book. I would highly encourage you guys that are leaders to plug into this book. It's a great book. It's a super easy read. Kind of cool sports analogies around the most, or I would say the best dynastic teams in all sports. So the teams that could not be beat, like we all know the New England Patriots had a run, right? What was it about that organization that made them so difficult to beat for so many years? And the commonalities for all of these teams came down to this on the field player captain mindset, leadership from the trenches. We operate with the 5 dysfunctions of a team as sort of our core philosophy about how we discuss and how we deal. And I bring this up. I might have read this book in 2012 or 13. And as soon as I read it, I was like, that's it. That's how I want my team to live. We must trust each other. We must be willing to fight. I encourage fighting on my team all the time. When people come to me and they're like, hey, so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, cool. Did you call them out on it? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, what are you telling me for? Till you guys go fight it out. I have nothing to do with this. You're both adults. You're both grown, good people who want to succeed. I'm sure you'll figure it out. We encourage conflict. We want people to fight it out and figure it out because we know that if there's trust, then people can fight on good terms and be fair. Fairness is what matters. Again, I'm not talking about, we have no drama. There's no drama on our team. None. I have a zero. Again, no assholes allowed means that you have a lot less drama. I have no, and I don't get any, when people have it, they bring it to me. I go, so what? I have nothing to add to that. A lack of commitment, avoidance of accountability, inattention to results. These are all things that make a team not operate. So you have to have abundant clarity about how your team operates. These are the 5 that I live by. This is another just sort of graphic that I'll show you guys. If you haven't read that book, another book that I strongly encourage you to read. But if you can build your organization, your success team, your operations team around the 5 dysfunctions, and then plug all of your agents into it and lead with the principles of the captain's class, you're going to start to see a culture of production emerging. Now, on our team, we have a path to partner. And the idea is that I wanted every single person on my team to see that they had a path to unlimited income. One of the things, the number one thing that will make somebody leave your organization is when they feel they have outgrown what you have to offer them or their economic upside. And I realized that early in my journey that if I were to join a team and somebody tried to keep me in a box forever, that I would likely have to leave that team. It wouldn't even matter if I loved the person, but I would eventually have to leave because I live inside of an unlimited mindset. And I want to attract people that live inside an unlimited mindset. So I had to build what we call the path to partner. And we do that through the leadership ladder. And a leadership ladder is effectively an outline path where anybody can earn the highest commission structure that we offer based on production. And each of the production standards that they meet will give them a new opportunity to make more money. And there's a number of different things that layer into that. I have a whole presentation about how we do the leadership ladder and how people can effectively earn back 100% of their cap dollars that they pay into our brokerage. And then they can actually earn back all of the money that they split with the team. So we have people on our team that are out earning the cost to be affiliated with the team. And they do it through our leadership ladder that we built. So really quick, going to summarize, and then would love to just kind of hear what your thoughts and questions are, and feedback obviously on this stuff is so valuable for me. Anybody that's ever presented, the most important thing is just kind of, did you like this? I don't know. Did you get anything from it? So building a culture of production, the first thing is you got to talk about it. Why does production matter? You cannot be afraid of talking about selling houses. You can't do it. You can't run a culture of production and always be talking about how people feel and things. You have to talk about production. Every one-on-one that we do starts with, let's look at your numbers. Every single time. People know that if they're going to be part of our organization and they want to have the upside of being part of the #1 production team in Connecticut, and they want to be on a team that outsells the average agent by 6 times, that they're going to have to talk about numbers. You've got to agree on standards, not just enforce them. So a lot of times, a lot of team leads fall into the trap of building standards, but never getting agreement around them. The reason we keep our standards simple, we call them the 4 agreements, right? You guys heard them: show up, be accountable, engage the world, do the 2. The reason we have those and we keep them simple is that that's an agreement, which means that when somebody comes to me and says, hey, Matt, I don't think I'm getting value from the team, I can go, well, how are you holding up your end of the bargain? Are you adhering to the agreements? 99% of the time, the answer is no. Because if you're not doing that part, you're not going to be getting value from the team, because we're a culture of production, which means if you ain't selling, we can't serve you. We can't serve people that don't sell. We're a production business. That means that if you show up and say, I'm not selling and I'm getting no value from the team, the answer is yes, you're right. We serve producers. We don't serve non-producers. If you're a non-producer, you get 0. If you're a big producer, you get a lot. The more houses you sell, the more value you get, because it's a meritocracy. So a culture of production requires everybody to agree that production matters. Important, be careful what you measure, what you honor, and what you reward. So again, in our world, sign something, sell something, set an appointment. Sign something, sell something, set an appointment. If you measure the right things, honor the right things, and reward the right things, you'll get the outcomes that actually matter, which in our world is transactions closed, is happy customers, is referrals as a result of that. Leaders must be consistent and reliable. This is another one where I see it fall down. Leaders want everyone to produce, but they don't want to do it. I am on every single call that we run on our team. Every morning, 8:30, I show up, I run the call. That's my job. That's the leader's job. That's the huddle. We talk about leading from the field. Hey, we call the play every day. That's my job. I'm the leader. That's what they hired me for. I'm very consistent. I'm very reliable. I never miss a call. I never cancel a call. If I said I'll be there, I'll be there. Players want a captain, not a goat. The goat is the greatest of all time. Your people didn't sign up because you're the best realtor ever on the planet. That's not what they signed up for. They're looking for somebody to lead them through the challenges that they face in their business. They don't need you to be Michael Jordan or Tom Brady. Stop thinking that you need to be that. A lot of people set themselves up for failure as a leader because they're afraid they're not perfect. I tell my team all the time, I am not perfect and I'm not the greatest realtor ever. In fact, I will possibly show up on some days as a D or a C minus. But one thing I'll never do is show up as an F, because at the very minimum, I'm going to show up. I will always show up. I'll always do what I said I will do. I'll tell the truth, and I'll show up and do the best job that I can. And some days the best job I can is not that great. I'm totally okay with that. If you're okay with it, I'm okay with it. But some days I show up and I'm an A+. And on those days, you don't want to miss out. Those are really good days, right? So we just agree. That's what the team wants. That's what I commit to. Every day you should be working on improving your value proposition. Every day. So one of the things that I figured out early on was that if I brought people to the team and they had an economic model that they agreed to on the day that they came, and then if every day I just moved the needle and made the team more and more valuable, but I never changed the economic model, I never asked them for more money, I never rolled them back, but I just kept improving the things that I provided, I knew that eventually people would look at it and say, wow, I joined 9 years ago, and man, has this team grown and gotten better? And we have so many more things than we did 9 years ago than we do today. And I haven't had to pay any more money to get it. That if you keep moving the needle on your value proposition and building bigger and bigger opportunities for your agents to plug into, that, by the way, is also your job as the CEO. If you just keep expanding the value every day and never ask for any more money, then it's really hard for people to leave because they go, well, I signed up and I got these 4 things, but today I get 10 things. And these 10 things are worth way more than those 4 things were. But I agreed to do this when it was only 4. Now I get 10. It's even better. So you just keep improving the value proposition day in and day out. Every day, wake up. What can I do more? How much more can I provide? By the way, that's obviously very much in alignment with our mission statement, which is empowerment. Try to figure out how to build an unlimited compensation model in your team. Again, this is a whole other conversation, but everybody that's part of your organization should have a path to make as much money as they want to make. No one should ever feel like there's a cap on how much they can earn. Now, the reality is that many will never achieve the highest performance opportunity. It doesn't really matter as long as they know it's available to them. And I mean, I would celebrate anyone getting our highest economic rewards. It would be fantastic. But some people realize, as we all have, there are some things that people want, but they're unwilling to do what they need to do in order to get the thing that they want. But being told that that's not available to you is enough to send somebody who's a top producer packing. Always show people a path to make as much money as they want. Unlimited compensation. There should never be a cap on how much money somebody can earn. It's got to be a win-win for sure. I'm not saying you should ever have somebody on your team that's not paying or anything like that, but there should always be an opportunity for people to make more money. Learning versus training. This is a big one, guys. A culture of production is not a training organization. A culture of production is a learning organization. Learning versus training are different things. How many of you have had people on your team that say, I need more training? You didn't train me on the CRM. You didn't train me on what to say. I don't know. We are not a training organization. I tell people that all the time. Training is free. We will help you learn, but you got to go train yourself. We don't sit around in rooms talking about how to do stuff. We let you go out there and learn how to do it and come back and we'll educate you about how to improve. But we don't sit around and do training. We have a lot of opportunities for learning on our team, but we are not a training organization. We also operate, and this is really core to this, which is, again, it's the only thing that makes the balance work. If you have high standards and high accountability culture, you also need to have a very forgiving culture, because you're asking people to go out on a limb and do stuff that makes them really uncomfortable, which means they are going to fail a lot. They're going to fail a lot, which means you need to have a culture where failure is celebrated and rewarded. And we laugh about it. We screw up, we do things terribly, and then we get together and we talk about what a great experience it was and what we learned. It can build a culture where failing and mistakes and errors are not big black clouds and big black marks and X's across somebody's face, but actually part of a winning culture. You actually start to get people that will be willing to take bigger risks and do more. And that's where big production comes from. So that's my summary. I hope you guys got some value out of the culture of production that makes us up. I haven't done that presentation in a while, so I'd love your feedback, thoughts, comments. What did I leave out? Any questions, comments? What do you got for me, guys?
Well, I'll tell you, I got a lot from it. I'm actually probably going to watch the replay on this because there was a lot of good nuggets in there that made me think I could be doing a few things a little bit better as a leader. And I did look at that book, so that is on my reading list, the player, whatever that one was.
Captain's Class, yeah.
Yeah, Captain's Class. So I will be reading that book and let you know how that goes.
It's a great book, dude. You'll love it. You'll love it.
Hey,
Matt,
Jeff.
how many? Oh, go ahead, Sam. Go ahead.
How do you have your folks report when they do their 5 days of reporting?
Yeah, so we started that standard when we were using CTE way back in the day, and so everybody had to report every day. Now they have to report on Sisu. That's the technology platform that we use. And reporting is effectively, they just have to go in, and even if they have to put in zeros, we had to do a little bit of an end around because the tech doesn't work perfectly, which is that if they have to put in zeros, they have to go in and put in a one contact on a day, because the Sisu doesn't let you put zero in everything. So a zero report means one contact and zero everywhere else. Does that help, Sam? Yeah. And you know, that's because we currently have 28 full-time agents, right? Not quite 20, 25, I think. We've been in a pretty heavy growth mode this year. And so when we were smaller and started this, we used to literally do it on the call in the morning, like sign, sold, set, like just high accountability, high touch. Everybody knew it was uncomfortable, but it helps people perform. And if it helps them perform and they sell more houses and they make more money, then they're willing to sign up for it.
Yeah, I like that accountability to yourself and to your team. We use Monday.com. We don't use Sisu because I have a little bitty team.
Yeah.
But I think I could probably do it somehow on Monday.com.
My recommendation, if you're not doing any kind of reporting, here's my recommendation. It's a dimmer, not a light switch. So I want you to think in terms of turning on anything. If you walk in and just flip all the switches on and say, as of tomorrow, this is what we're doing, you're going to freak people out. And there's no need to do that. You could go in and just say, hey guys, it would be super valuable for us to start being accountable to our activities and our results. What if once a week we all just said how many appointments we had, how many appointments we went on? Like, what if once a week we did that? Like, the dimmer will allow people to start to feel the value of it, and always illustrate the value as the look in the mirror moment. Because what people assume you want with reporting is they think that you want to look at them and judge them. And it has nothing. I tell them all the time, I don't look at it. I don't care. I don't care how many points. I don't look at any of it. You do it because you need it. And then like you'll get pushback from people like, I don't need it. I'm like, bullshit, you don't need it. Yes, you do. Like, you need to be accountable to results. That's what you agreed to be on the team. It's just one of our standards. You think I'm looking at it every day? I'm not looking at it. I don't care. Like, I don't care. Like, we aggregate it, and the data in its entirety means something to me as the leader. But like the one individual agent that's like reporting or not reporting, like, it doesn't matter to me. They think you want it to judge them. That's not what it's about. It's about them having to judge themselves. So you just have to have that language right.
Matt, what you said you were in growth mode. Tell me how that's going and what has been your secret weapon there to actually grow with the right people.
I am so excited about this question, Ed. It's probably the thing that we've gotten the most right most recently.
Well, then I'm writing it down, buddy.
Yeah, well, it's 2022 to 2023, like a lot of us, was a challenge. It was challenging because it felt like the wind came out of the sails really rapidly. We had our best production year ever in 2022, but in the rearview mirror, as I look at and analyze it, the wind started to come out in fourth quarter, and then it just rapidly started to come out. And along the way, I lost some producers. Not because anybody like left or went to other companies. A lot of them just sort of like retired, just had enough. Like, and then people that had their best year ever in 2022 suddenly had terrible years in 2023 because they were accustomed to a different. So we had so much adjustment. And so somewhere around March of 2023, like I realized like, oh man, the fuel light is on and we are losing altitude. And there is, and I've got, so many months of reserves and 6 months in the windshield here, before we just bottom out. So I need to make some adjustments. And as we all know, you have to add new production to your organization in order to get lift. You can't just, if somebody's going to sell, like I have this concept around appetite, which is that some agents have a certain appetite. You can't change somebody's appetite. If they go to a buffet and they're full after one plate, like they're full, like you're not going to force them to eat more. So I realized like I had never put a lot of energy into agent growth. It was not a thing for me. It wasn't something I prioritized. I didn't get a lot of value out of it. I don't like recruiting. Like I have all that stuff. I don't like that experience of it.
You
So
actually, you are telling my story right now. I mean, everything you
yeah,
just said, I've gone through just recently as well. I mean, over the last 22, 23, agents are, hitting 14 million, 15 million, 20 million on their sales, right?
yep,
So that sounded like, hey, we're awesome. This is great. But
yeah,
then nothing
yeah,
to feed up from the bottom. And I'm,
yeah.
I'm in the same situation you were. Yeah.
So what we did is I actually have shared a little bit of this with Jim. So I had always struggled. There were a number of things that I struggled with around agent onboarding and bringing the right people in, right? So when you have a culture like ours, I'm very protective of our culture, and the
Yep.
worst thing you can ever do is bring somebody in that doesn't fit into that culture. But in order to do that, it's very disruptive, and meaning like when we would typically add 2 or 3 agents a year, maybe 4. But because those 2 or 3 agents a year were selling in their first year with the team 20 there was a big impact. But when the market came down and the wind came out of the sales, all of a sudden that runway to get them into a high level of production lengthened, which meant now instead of them being able to do that in their first year, it was going to take 18 months. So I saw all this and I realized I need to solve this onboarding problem. And so I built what we call Agent Production Academy. And Agent Production Academy is in its shortest definition, it is a 90-day agent selection process. So the agents that sign up for Agent Production Academy do not get officially onboarded to the team until they graduate, which they start the graduation process after 60 days. The day 60 to 90 is a series of tests and exams that they need to pass in order to walk into our team as a full-blown team member. The first 60 days is teaching them what they need to know. The last 30 days is selecting them to be a part of the team. I started that. The first class was May of 2023. We've run it. This is our 7th session, just started at the beginning of this month. So I run it every 60 days. We have a start date. The last 30 days and the first 30 days are overlap between a new class and the previous class. We've added, since that started, not including the current class, which we have 7 in, but we don't know if all 7 will graduate. We've added 13 full-time producers. Every one of those producers is on track to sell 20 or more homes this year.
Wow.
So it's taken, I mean, I'm about 18 months into it. The short answer is, what am I doing? I'm putting a lot of energy, resources into fucking it up and figuring it out and doing it and getting better and better at it. But I'm really, really excited about what we produced. Now, I've done that with a couple of other teams too. We've rolled that model into 4 other markets, and those teams that we've rolled it into are having similar results. So stay tuned. I'll keep you updated. But
I'd love to find out more. So is
yeah.
that something where you're just putting it out on the web and people are coming in and
So
from
that's
there?
actually, call it version 2.0. We're going to
Right.
actually start some outbound, call it attraction based agent recruiting. It's
Okay.
been hand-to-hand combat up to this point. So we've
Okay.
been engaging people one-on-one, finding the right people, asking them to participate in Agent Production Academy. The key
Okay.
thing that's different about it, here's what I would tell you, is that the difference between Agent Production Academy and everything else is we actually aren't asking you to join the team. We're actually giving you an opportunity to participate with our team for free as an agent. Wouldn't you like to know what it would be like to participate in an environment and culture of productivity without making a commitment? It's try before you buy. And so I brought that
No,
to the
no.
marketplace and I said, look, I understand it's a big ask, right? And then you get into these recruiting conversations. Somebody's like, hey, join my team. It's 50-50 split. And it's like, you're scaring a bunch of people away. They have no idea what they're joining. Like, so I just said, why don't you just come check us out? Like, but there's more framework to it than that, right? But it's like, it's try before you buy. And at any point in time, we can actually kick you out too. Because if you're an asshole, you don't fit, you don't do the things that we ask you to do, we're probably not going to we're not going to spend any resources, but it's free, but it's free with conditions, which says, if you want to see what a high performing team looks like, I challenge you to try and do what we do. And you can keep showing up as long as you keep doing what we do. The minute you stop doing what we do, we're going to select to not continue. So we start with the premise that lots of people raise their hand and say they want to do it, few will, but we actually only want to be in business with the ones that will. And so we're willing to I'm willing to put my money, my effort, my resources out there to find the right ones, because I know that our model is exceptional. And I know that agents that perform with us perform way above the national average. And I love being in business with them. So I want to go find those people, and I don't want them to stop at the gate because they just don't, because I know it's a heavy ask. So Agent Production Academy is the solution that we've put in play that's been awesome. So right now we have our best class ever that we started. We started on August 5th. It was a Monday. I don't remember. It was the first Monday of August we started. And walking into Agent Production Academy, we had 160 production units, 12 months rolling. So that was day one of people that are effectively what we call candidates in the program. So within 60 days, we'll know whether they stick around or not. But
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, this was awesome.
That's very
Yeah,
interesting.
thanks, guys. You can find me, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. I'm out there. If there's anything that I can offer of value to you guys, I'm an easy yes. Ask Jim. I'm an easy yes. I'm definitely an accessible guy. Shoot me a text, hit me up with a call if there's anything I can offer to you. If this was valuable to you, let me know, because that's valuable to me. So any other questions, guys? Anything else I can do for you?
Question.
Yep.
Xavier.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on? I love that model. Love everything you just said, because that's really dope that you give them like a try before you buy. I kind of have like a two-part question. So when they're doing that process, are you like giving them leads too, or
No,
you just
you guys you want to really get get twisted around. We are not a leads-based team. We don't give out any leads. We get lots of leads inbound, because we have market share, but there's no value proposition of the Miale team is not leads. The value proposition of our team is our culture and our operating system. And so does that produce leads? It sure does. Does it produce an outcome? Absolutely. Our track record says it, but we don't do leads. So, and certainly not when somebody's a candidate for the team.
Gotcha. Yeah. So that answers my second question. So I appreciate that.
It's much more of the classic sort of teach them to fish rather than give them a fish. When somebody signs up to be a part of our organization, they'll never need another lead again. They'll never need a lead. They'll never need to spend money on a lead. They'll never have to buy one, because they'll be able to produce their own leads for the rest of their life. And that's my commitment. As you come here, I'll teach you how to find leads for the rest of your life. You'll never have to give Zillow another nickel or penny.
Yeah.
I haven't paid Zillow anything since 2017. So
Awesome stuff. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
absolutely. Yep.
I appreciate it, Matt, and I'm probably going to ask you to come back and
Sure.
do something again, because I think people got a lot from this, and I think the people on the call, as well as people that are watching online, because we're going to record this and send it out. And I, again, appreciate it. We will definitely be inviting you back.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate you.
See you later, man.
Take care.